If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new album in the description. This Thursday, so tomorrow, we got another listening party for Kanye's new album DONDA coming up. This is the third one. This is the first one in Chicago, though. The first two were held at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And today I wanted to go over what my own expectations are for this new show, and also if we're actually going to get the album afterwards, so on Friday, and most importantly, what we already know so far is going to happen at this show. So let's jump straight into it. So the first two shows were rather controversial, at least the first one. The first one was very boring in a way. Kanye didn't really do much. He just played the music, although a lot of it sounded more like demos that he was playing or unfinished songs. And he was just standing in the middle of the arena, just walking around, sometimes falling into prayer-like poses, but never really doing much and never really performing the songs or putting on some kind of show. It was just a flat ground that, there was like one light that was shown on him. The second listening party in Atlanta, though, was better. At least he somehow performed the album. We had, different people, different sets on stage that actually did something for the viewer. We had amazing, sets from Dimna Gvasalia, from Balenciaga, who Kanye worked with to create the outfits for this show. For example, the Balenciaga spike jacket, but also different items that were laying around. And Kanye actually performed something also with, of course, that highlight of him ascending into heaven by like a little rope that was attached to him while that Don Toliver and Kid Cudi song from Donda was playing, which was a very cool moment. And that Ascension moment is still, that gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. And we heard more of the songs. This time they sounded more finished. We know that they weren't. Kanye was still calling Mike Dean during the show, telling him, yo, we have some mixing problems that we need to fix up. We need to delay this further, because it was supposed to drop on the day after, on Friday, and of course the week before it was supposed to drop as well. It didn't, as we already talked about, but that was probably due to mixing issues or him, that's my theory now, having some kind of bigger concept for all of these listening parties, including this last one that is now happening at the Soldier Field Stadium in Chicago. So let's talk about what this actually is about and what we can expect from it. So Kanye announced this listening party at the Soldier Field Stadium in Chicago, his hometown, last week. The tickets are up for sale. You can buy them. He's also been posting some stuff on Instagram looking kind of weird, some very artisty stuff. But when I read that he had, a listening party coming up in Chicago, the first thought that popped to my mind was, Chicago is obviously connected to Kanye West. That is his hometown. That is where he grew up. That's where he also lived with his mother, Donda, whom the album is named after. And also he was born in Atlanta, Georgia, where he held the first two listening parties. So somehow I already saw a connection there. And what we know so far already about this thing is that he's actually rebuilding his childhood home in the stadium for the listening party. We know this from some helicopter footage that they were flying around the stadium. You can see the inside. I'm gonna have some pictures for y'all to see, because very interesting to see that he's actually rebuilding an entire home, and there's like different construction site workers there, different machines that are building this thing. So a lot of effort is going into this, and that kind of connects back to what already some people were saying when the second listening party happened, because we have this concept of hell, ascension, and heaven. And when we look at this, it's really interesting, because when you look at the first listening party, Kanye wasn't really doing much. He was just, in a sense, demotivated, just like, lifelessly walking across the stage, sometimes falling to his knees, praying to God. That could be the hell part. That was him, suffering. That was him trying to find a way out of that. Then during the second listening party, especially that ascension moment with that Kid Cudi and Don Toliver track, that is a key part and a key moment of this thing, because that is where he ascended. And he literally ascended, of course, in the stadium, as I already said, during the song. And it was really epic. This reminded me of something he would have done during the Yeezus tour, for example. And so he actually ascended. And now he's back in his hometown, Chicago, rebuilding his childhood home so that he can perform the rest of the album there. And in a sense, he's maybe in heaven again reunited with his mother, who of course passed away, rest in peace, back in 2007, represented of course by his childhood home that he obviously was raised in by his mother. So that is another connection that we can see there, and I think that concept makes sense. I think someone like Kanye would put that kind of thought, that kind of deep meaning into his shows. He of course also could have told us that beforehand, but I think he wanted that part of the mystery for us to figure this out ourselves. Again, if you have any other theory, then you can let me know in the comments. I think this is very interesting to talk about and see what different people think about this, as Kanye is an artist that we can expect something like this from, and I think a lot of fans have different interpretations for what we know so far. So I think it's somehow going to tie into this concept. You know, people have pointed it out on the Discord in the comments. First of all, Boz, and again, shout out to my man. And if you always want the latest news on Donda, I really recommend you go join the Discord in the description. We always have people on there putting up the latest information and really informing you before, you know, any other media news outlet or myself is able to make a blog post or a video. So I really recommend that if you want to, you know, be part of a Kanye community and see what all this is about. But let's get back to the content of what we know so far real quick. We've heard quite a few songs. We know of so many features. I mean, there was this post going around with all the features that are confirmed so far that we know from the snippets, and it was a lot. It was like, you know, more than 15-20 people, and to have that many people feature on the album, it either needs to be really long or have just a lot of features, long tracks maybe with a lot of features. So I guess we'll find out more about the actual contents and the actual, you know, musical side of the album during this next listening party. As I said in the past, I think Kanye would be someone to just be like, yo, you know, I gave y'all this album in a live form. This is a new way to experience music. You know, I'm not supposed to drop it. But as I already went over in a past video, his manager, Tiambu, has already confirmed and you know, in a comment on Instagram, on social media, that the album is actually dropping 100% after the third listening party. You can kind of interpret this any way you want, if his manager is in any position to say this and not Kanye or Mike Dean themselves who are working on the music. But at least we know that it's supposed to drop, at least from a business point of view, and I think they're actually going to drop it as well. So that's my thoughts on this. I think this will somehow be tied into in a bigger concept and is bigger than just the individual shows. I think it's going to have some, you know, reference to his childhood home as he's rebuilding that, and also reference his mother, who is now in heaven. Let me know what you think about this theory, because that is of course very, you know, kind of far-fetched, but in a way it makes sense when you think about it. But I think we're just gonna have to wait for Kanye to actually confirm what this whole thing means and when we're actually gonna get the album. But of course, let me know what you think about this in the comments, as this is a very interesting thing for Kanye fans to have a discussion about, and that is the only way that we can, as fans, can, you know, stay together as a community. So let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media and blog down in the description. It really helps me out. Until the next one, y'all have an incredible day, and y'all take care.